Well, for a guy who wrote a book, Never Eat Alone, it would be kind of inappropriate for me to have a set of missions that doesn't include throwing a dinner party. So let's talk about you throwing a dinner party, and what do you do in advance? How do you actually set it up? What do you do when you get there? And I dare you to go through an extraordinary dinner party, which will really help you to accelerate the relationships with some of the people in your network. So first of all, when you're inviting people, make the basic assumption that people do not want to have dinner with you. They would rather have dinner with a bunch of interesting people. I've made that assumption of myself for years, and as a result, people know that by coming to dinner with me, they're actually coming to dinner with a group of individuals that I promise to curate who will be really cool. So in the invitation, I actually reach out and I say, I'd love for you to join me and a group of friends in a fantastic night that will be filled with fun wine and great people, or whatever it happens to be. It just whatever your tone that you want to set for that dinner, I'd make it more casual, but then I'd start dropping the names. Ideally, there's one or two anchor tenants. Come in, and even in the header, you might say, come and join me and so for dinner. And make sure that it's clear that this is a group of individuals who you really spent some time thinking that the person you're inviting would enjoy getting to know them, all right? The next thing is, where are you going to have this? Now, I have had some amazing dinners at the rooftop of a hotel that's totally unfinished, where you had to climb up through the boiler room to get there, on the floor of the New York Stock Exchange, in some of the most clever and interesting places, in the old wine cellar underneath Club 21. The cooler, the more interesting, of course, the better. But it's perfectly okay if you don't do that. Then what you want to do is you want to set the tone of the event and the place to the group that you have. If you have fewer than 5 or 6 individuals, then a table at a dinner at a regular restaurant is perfectly fine, as long as you can all hear each other at the dinner. That's really critical. Or decide to go for a private room. You don't want to have too few people in a private room. It just saps the energy out. It's nice to have some energy around you if you've got a small group, but if you're going to have about 14 people, that's plenty of energy for itself. Have that in a private room. Now, the size of the table is important to us. We actually encourage not a round table. Now, particularly if you're in a restaurant and you have a big round table with 10 people, you can't hear and talk across that table. Small, thin tables, which are no more than 32 inches wide, ideally even 28 inches wide, where you can actually talk to the person not only sitting across the table from you, but 2 people to either side of them, in addition to the person here to your right and your left. Now you're having a great conversation with a group of individuals. And if you make sure that the chairs are only seated, now I know this sounds crazy, but if you make sure the chairs are only seated about a foot width apart from each other, then you can actually have a conversation with 2 people to your right, 2 people here, and you won't be stuck at one of those boring dinners where you're either talking to this person or you're talking to that person, and that's it. You're really trying to make this space feel like a real family dinner, which, by the way, is not a bad idea to then serve family style. In my early days, I would always go to some form of an Asian fusion or an Asian restaurant where we could pre-order for the table and pass things around, bumping elbows. Actually, the assumption of family style and a mental model helps people quiet down and really connect with each other in a more positive way. So family style is good. Or make it quirky and interesting food, something interesting. A wonderful sommelier in the United States, who's a great food expert as well, taught me that the first 15 minutes of the meal is the most special. So if you can have a really delicate or special appetizer or some sort of past hors d'oeuvres when they walk in that's really particularly important, that'll really set a tone. As soon as they walk in, I want somebody there with champagne flutes and a tequila drink of some sort, or some special drink that you find particularly interesting. I use tequila because it tends to lubricate the social environment, so to speak. The champagne sets a tone that says this is special. So have that ready and passed out as soon as they walk into the room. Somebody's like, wow, this is a Wednesday? Wow, this is champagne? It actually sets a tone. The lighting in the room should be not totally fluorescent, lit. It should be a little bit dark even in the private room. Lots of candles. Don't spend lots of money on stuff in the middle of the table that stops you from seeing anybody. Get all that garbage out of there. Have them sprinkle some flowers on the table, whatever. But the point is that you want to make sure that it's all about people connecting with people, all right? Now, when the whole thing starts, I want you to set the tone with a toast. I want you to stand up. And in your words, you're going to say, welcome. This is a group of extraordinary people. I don't want you to be intimidated like I am at a group like this where everybody is so extraordinary. I want you to realize that I know everybody here, and everybody here is a warm and wonderful individual. And I'd really encourage you to find a reason to connect with these people. Find a reason to care. You know, I care so much about so-and-so, not because of he's the CEO of such and such a company or the CFO of this, that, but I care because what an amazing father he is. And what an amazingly committed mother this individual is. And how much this individual is so committed to the cause of breast cancer and women all over the world and children in foster care. And if you go around very briefly and pick a few of those people out, you're basically quieting the reptilian brain, and that people will believe that they're in a safe place and they'll know that they can begin to connect. Now, we also believe that you can set the tone for good conversation. There's a wonderful set of questions you can ask. You could go around the table and ask everybody a simple question, which is, what is the experience in the past year that you've had that's most impacted you in a powerful way? Right? You could ask the question, what's the experience of your past that most impacted who you are today? You could ask, what are you most hopeful for in your future? You can ask any number of questions and then go around the table and answer those. That's a powerful bonding mechanism. Now, what I don't want you to do is I don't want you to think of some business topic to curate at the table. You could maybe bring a journalist in who's interested in a particular topic, let them talk for 5 or 10 minutes of something that they're really engaged in, and then open up a dialogue. People listening, that's not a good dinner. Everybody talking and engaging, that's a good dinner. The more they talk about themselves, the more they talk about their own experiences, their own wishes, their own hopes, their own passions, the better. Your job as a host is to make everybody feel that they're at home. Think back to the most wonderful, connected family dinner you've ever had, and I want you to go out and try to throw one of those with some of the most aspirational and interesting people on your list. Go have a great dinner.